They were yelling before I was even fully awake. Not the embarrassed kind of shouting families do when they know they crossed the boundary. This was wild, frantic noise. Metal scraping against metal. The sound of a crowbar prying at my doorframe. My mother's voice cracked with fury. My father barked commands like he was running a drill. My brother panted like he'd been waiting for this exact moment. Break it open. Our son lives here. Funny how suddenly I became their son again after all the names they threw at me yesterday. After everything they tried to force on me before I finally kicked them out. I stood silently on the other side of the door, one hand holding the thing they feared most, not danger, but truth, before they could force the lock. I turned at myself. The moment the door swung open, their faces twisted mid-rage and froze when they saw what I was carrying. They weren't terrified because it could hurt them. They were terrified because it proved they'd already lost control. I didn't always have this calm in me. For years I mistook their pressure for protection. I thought my mother's guilt was concern, my father's strictness was love, my brother's quiet obedience was loyalty. They insisted we were a united family, a fortress, but their version of unity only allowed one thing, obedience. I played the part they wanted, the dependable son, the one who shoved down his own plans because theirs were louder. It took me too long to see what it really was. Ownership. Their control started subtle. A document missing from my desk, then reappearing in a different folder, my phone slightly out of place. The faint smell of my mother's perfume in my apartment on a day she claimed she hadn't been by. Then the bank alerts with my father's name on them, even though he had no right to be near my accounts. My brother starting conversations he couldn't finish, like he knew a secret he wasn't allowed to say. And then came the message that confirmed everything. A text my mother tried to send him, but accidentally sent to me. If he won't get the papers to us, we'll get them while he's asleep. That was the moment the mask shattered. I didn't confront them. I didn't scream. That would have made it too easy for them to dismiss me. Instead, I quietly changed every lock, placed hidden cameras disguised as decorations, backed up every suspicious call, every text, every login attempt. I consulted a lawyer. I built a record. And then I waited. They always walk right into their own traps. Yesterday, they barged into my place uninvited, demanding answers I didn't owe them. I told them to get out. They didn't believe I meant it. So I opened the door wide and repeated it calmly. Leave. They stormed out, furious and certain I'd cave. But this morning they showed up with a crowbar. So when I opened the door and they saw the thick folder in my hand, their screams weren't from fear of harm. They were from the realization that every step they took had been documented. Their handwriting, their messages, their attempt to access my accounts, their plan to break in, all organized, labeled, and already handed to my lawyer. My mother's voice trembled as she asked, "What are you doing?" I didn't shout back. I didn't need to. I told you yesterday. I said, "You don't own me, and now you don't control anything." My father started to move forward until he spotted the legal letterhead peeking from the folder. He froze. My brother stepped back like the floor was giving way under him. They all looked at me like they were seeing a stranger, someone they could no longer push around. I stepped back inside and shut the door. The click of the lock was soft, but it carried more weight than any argument we'd ever had. On the other side, I could hear them whisper my name, one as a plea, one as an accusation. It meant nothing. For the first time, the quiet inside my home actually felt like it belonged to me. People think revenge is loud, dramatic, explosive. But real revenge is simple. It's the peace that settles after you close the door they thought they could always walk through. And as I slid the folder back into my drawer, I felt something lighten. Not because they were punished, but because I finally stopped carrying them.